Hello, this is Jackie B. Peterson of Better, Smarter, Richer, 7 Business Principles for Solopreneurs, which includes encores and creatives and all kinds of you operating in one-person businesses. And I'm your host today. I'm happy to be your host today on Solo Pro Radio. And I have a couple things to remind you of, a couple dates coming up, as long as we're talking here for a minute. There is a free symposium on solopreneurship on December 3rd at the Portland Community College Climb Center in the auditorium from 6 to 9 p.m. Hope you'll come to that if you've got questions. On January 6th is the next Better, Smarter, Richer study group, which is great, an in-person study group where we work the chapters in the book and have discussions about your findings and your learnings of what it takes to be a successful solopreneur. And on December 16th, we have the next Better, Smarter, Richer booster shot at the Portland Community College Climb Center. And on December 17th, we're having our annual no-host Christmas meetup at the East Burnside Matador from 4 to 7 p.m. So lots of places to get together between now and the end of the year, and I hope I get to see you. Our guest today is Steve Mazer, and Steve is part of the Social Venture Partners Portland program and serves as the manager of the Encore Fellows program. I want to hear more about that. Steve came to Social Venture Partners after a long and successful academic career. He was at Willamette University Atkinson's Graduate School of Management for 35 years. Before that, he earned his bachelor's degree from MIT and his doctorate from the University of Rochester. He also served in the political science department at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee before coming to Oregon. Steve is absolutely committed to the Social Venture Partners model of networked collaboration and venture philanthropy. And I look forward to learning about this successful model for Encores to bring their talents to the community. Hello, Steve.
Hi, Jackie. Happy to be here.
I'm just delighted that you're here. So let's just start out. Why don't you tell us more about Partners Portland, and what is this program, and who participates, and who does it serve? How does it work?
Well, yeah, in a nutshell, Social Venture Partners Portland is the Portland-based affiliate of an international organization. I think there are 39 SVPs around the world. Mostly in the U.S., but also Asia and Europe. And I think of SVP as sort of like a venture capital fund for nonprofits in the following sense, that the SVP model of venture philanthropy is that the partners, who tend to be reasonably successful people often in business, pool their funds, and they decide where to invest their funds in a nonprofit. Now, they don't expect a return on equity, but they're basically investing their talent and their money in a set of nonprofits. And it's like a venture capital fund and different from a traditional philanthropy in that once the organization has decided, SVP has decided it wants to help certain nonprofits, the partners form investment teams, and they'll work with the nonprofit sometimes up to 2 to 3 years, analyzing the strengths and weaknesses of that nonprofit and trying to consult with them and help them address those organizational strengths and weaknesses to increase their capacity. So actually the talent that the partners contribute is often as valuable or more so than the dollars that flow in. So in that sense, I think of it as like a venture capital fund because venture capitalists also follow their investments into the organizations and help them improve. So it's an organization that was founded a few years ago in Seattle and has continued to expand with this model that tries to help people also understand philanthropy. It's very evidence-based. It's very performance-oriented. It applies business principles to help nonprofits better serve the populations they're trying to serve.
That's fantastic. I mean, what a great idea to form it for capacity building for nonprofits. There are hundreds of thousands, I think, of nonprofits, many with a very worthy mission, and often they are low on business capability. How planning, fundraising, internal organization. Are those the kind of things that your partners work with when you talk about capacity building?
Yeah, exactly. They're bringing their knowledge and skills from business to help nonprofits expand their capacity and improve their performance. In the Portland area, the Portland affiliate of, of SVP has decided, for example, to focus all of their what they call investments in early childhood education, addressing what is a very substantial community problem, really nationally, but certainly documented here in the Portland metro area, of children who are not ready, if you will, to start kindergarten. And the evidence shows that if some kids come into kindergarten and can count to 10 and know how to hold and read a book, and others don't have a clue about any of those things, and that the kids who are not prepared often don't catch up. And so the thrust of SVP's sort of 10-year commitment is to attack this pretty substantial and complex problem by making targeted and strategic investments in different kinds of nonprofits working to address parts of this problem, and to sort of try and be a leader in that space and bring together other foundations and other organizations and so on. So the partners get involved in that process, and then when a particular organization is selected to work with SVP, then, as I say, the partners literally do a systematic organizational analysis of the strengths and weaknesses of that enterprise, and then try to help them address those issues.
That's fantastic. Have other social venture partner chapters, if I can call them that, done like Portland has done and focused on one particular area, like early childhood education?
I don't think that's the general model, and I'm not as conversant with SVP as I am with the Encore Fellows. And bear in mind, I've been doing this only since January, so I'm sort of still learning more about SVP itself. But my sense is that SVPs around the other affiliates may have broader spectrum investments. And I don't know if others have chosen to focus on a particular social problem the way the Portland affiliate
Well, I like the focus. I'm actually in my work with Better, Smarter, Richer. I'm just a missionary for the concept of focus. To be a successful solopreneur, you have to focus, and it just makes sense that having an organization with the talent that somebody like Social Venture Partners can attract and does attract, that focusing on one particular area would definitely increase the impact. And are you finding that to be true, or do you have the metrics yet?
Well, we're from what I've seen, we're developing the metrics and have some metrics of success. We have logic models and we have objectives, but it is, as folks around here like to call it, it's kind of an audacious goal. I mean,
I love that.
There's so many things that affect the performance of kids and getting kids ready for kindergarten that it's a very complex problem. So it's not just a matter of getting a book into the hands of a toddler, although that's a significant accomplishment to do it. There have to be people who are capable of reading that book to the child. There are family circumstances. There are economic, demographic, and other circumstances. There's so many factors that even though compared to all the other social issues one could look at, healthcare and poverty and homelessness and hunger and so on, it's a very complex problem to solve, but it is at least theoretically one you can attack. There are measures of performance of children as they enter the school system. You can track how the children are performing.
I've just read an article that talked about how children, their parents need to talk to them, the young children, and how much better children do when their household, particularly their parents, just plain talk with them, just chat away and talk with them as they're doing things. And they said that some kids where this doesn't happen, in their early years, get 30 million words behind, and there's almost no way that you can pick that up, and that's part of your foundation that you're talking about, that, if you don't have that by the time you're 5.5 or 6, how in the world are you going to go back and get 30 million words that, really help a child be prepared to go into the school system or go into learning with that? So as you say, it's obviously very complex.
But
interesting.
There is research on the subject. There are things that people understand about the problem. So it is. I mean, it's possible, as complex as it is, to sort of attack it from a number of different dimensions. And the SVP model is one of sort of network collaboration, trying to bring to bear, different nonprofits who are all addressing different parts of the problem, whether the reason for the child not being prepared for kindergarten could be having to do with the homelessness in the family or the poverty.
Wow.
Or
that's great.
Whatever it is. So you have to sort of bring together a variety of nonprofit organizations and governmental organizations and sometimes businesses who may all sort of be dealing with one or another piece of this to try and get them to collaborate and more efficiently address the concerns.
And I'm going to guess that an organization like Social Venture Partners is able to facilitate that collaboration, bringing those organizations together to the table, helping them coordinate their programs and, around how they're delivering service. I would think that would be a role that an organization like Social Venture Partners could fill, easily, whereas maybe the organizations themselves could not make that happen.
Well, I think that's
because
great.
Everybody thinks you have a point of view or
right.
something to gain or lose, but somebody like Social Venture Partners that has nothing, they don't have their own agenda other than to bring the collaboration about, could actually make something like that happen.
Well, that's
so they're probably very effective.
That's the role to which SVP aspires, but it's an organization working in a sector of the economy like any organization working in a sector of the economy with any number of other organizations with their own agendas and so on. So anytime you try and bring about network collaboration, it requires a lot of energy and strategic action and so on. So yeah, SVP has had, I think, in all of its communities success, but it can be hard work.
Yes, it is hard work. It's big work to be doing. So you talked about that, what you're in charge of is a program called the Encore Fellows. So what is that program and how does that work?
Well, the Encore Fellows program was founded in the area, Silicon Valley area, a few years ago, and it's a sort of offshoot or subsidiary of an organization called Encore.org, which is both the website and the name of the organization, founded by a fellow named Mark Friedman. And the fellowship program is basically about helping people with lengthy business careers who are sort of recent retirees transition typically from business into social purpose work. So again, the Fellows program, I actually don't know the number of programs there. They have them, I can think of probably 8 or 9, 10 in the U.S., one in London. They're beginning to appear in different parts of the world, and several more are opening. There's been a fairly rapid growth rate in the expansion in different cities where the Fellows program opens, with a national office in the Bay Area. And a fellow is basically typically someone with considerable expertise gained from their career, so they're likely to be a recent retiree, and they make a 1,000-hour commitment to the fellowship. And the fellowship, they receive a stipend, typically in the $20,000 range, for the 1,000-hour commitment. Now, 1,000 hours, if it was